All right, let's dive right in. Over the next few minutes, we're going to completely overhaul how you study. I'm talking about breaking down the real science of learning into a system you can literally start using, well, right after you finish this. Ready? Let's do it. So, have you ever done this? You read an entire page of a textbook, get to the bottom, and you have absolutely no idea what you just read. It's like the words just evaporated. If that sounds familiar, I've got some great news for you. It's not your brain that's the problem. It's the way you're trying to learn. You see, for a long time, we were all kind of taught that learning is passive. You just reread stuff, highlight the important bits, and hope it sticks. But it turns out that's a huge myth. The science is super clear on this. Real, deep learning, the kind that actually lasts, is an active sport. It's about wrestling with ideas, asking questions, and, yeah, even struggling with them a little bit. Okay, so let's build this new system from the ground up. Phase one is all about the foundation. Seriously, before you even think about cracking open a book, you've got to set the stage. We're talking about getting your space and your head in the right place to actually focus. First things first, create a distraction-free zone. Having one dedicated spot for studying does something amazing. It trains your brain that when you sit there, it's go time. So keep it clean, keep it organized, put that phone on Do Not Disturb, and I mean it, and maybe give your family or roommates a heads up about your study times. It's all about building a little fortress of focus. All right, but what about procrastination? We all know that feeling of just not wanting to start. It's the worst. Here are 3 killer tricks to beat it. You can break a huge task into tiny, manageable pieces. You could use the worst first approach and just get that awful task out of the way. Or, and this one is my personal favorite, try the 5-minute plan. Just tell yourself you'll work on it for 5 minutes. That's it. Anyone can do 5 minutes, right? But the magic is, once you start, you'll almost always keep going. Okay, so your environment is set. You've beaten procrastination. Now what? Phase 2 is all about what to do when you're actually taking in new information. This is the moment we flip the switch from being a passive sponge to an active learner. And what does that even mean, active learner? It means you're not just letting the words wash over you. No, you are having a full-on conversation with the text. Your job is to poke it, prod it, ask it questions, and really make those ideas your own. For reading, there is a method that's an absolute game changer. It's called SQ3R. It sounds complicated, but it's not. Basically, before you read a single word, you survey the chapter, look at the headings and summaries. Then you turn those headings into questions. See what just happened? You've given your brain a mission. You're not just reading anymore, you're on a treasure hunt for answers. That, right there, is active learning. And what about taking notes? You've got to try the Cornell note-taking system. It's so powerful. It's got this structure that literally forces you to think about what you're writing down. You write your main notes, but then you have to create questions and summaries in the margins. Just that simple act of turning a note into a question starts building those memory connections. It's brilliant. Okay, this next part, this is the secret sauce. This is phase 3. You've set up your space, you've actively engaged with the material, but how do you make sure you don't forget it all by next week? How do you make knowledge stick long term? The secret weapon is something called the testing effect, or as it's more commonly known, retrieval practice. And it's so simple, yet so powerful. Here it is. Trying to pull information out of your brain is way more effective for learning than just trying to shove it back in by rereading. And this isn't some new fad either. The legendary psychologist William James was talking about this all the way back in 1890. He said it pays better to recollect by an effort from within. That little bit of struggle to remember something, that's not a sign of failure, that's the feeling of your brain building a stronger memory. Now, if you want to supercharge that retrieval practice, you use a technique called elaboration. This is all about connecting the dots. Don't just learn a new fact in isolation. Ask yourself, how does this connect to what I already know? Or why is this true? You're giving the new information a web of connections to hang on to, making it so much harder to forget. And the ultimate tool for elaboration? Oh, it's got to be the Feynman technique. The idea is brilliant. Try to explain a concept to a 12-year-old. If you can't explain it simply, using plain language and analogies, it means you don't really understand it yourself. This process is like a laser-guided missile for finding the gaps in your own knowledge. It's tough, but it's the fastest path to true understanding. Okay, another huge principle. Spaced practice. This one feels a little weird at first. The idea is that instead of cramming, you spread your studying out over time. Why? Because you actually want to forget a little bit. I know, it sounds crazy, but that act of struggling to remember something after a day or two sends a powerful signal to your brain. It says, whoa, I had to work to get that back. This must be important. I better hang on to it for the long haul. So you might be thinking, okay, retrieval practice and space practice, how do I actually do that? Well, enter the Lightner system. It's a genius low-tech way to do both using just a few boxes and some flashcards. It basically builds your space repetition schedule for you automatically. And here's why it's so smart. The cards you get right move to boxes that you review less often. The cards you get wrong, they stay in the review every day box. It's so efficient. It makes sure you're spending your valuable study time on the stuff you don't know, not just endlessly reviewing the things you've already mastered. It's all about targeted, smart practice. Whew, okay. We have covered a ton of ground. We've talked about your environment, how to actively engage with material, and the science behind making memory stick. So for our conclusion, let's put all these pieces together. Let's design what a perfect, powerful study session actually looks like. The engine that's going to power this whole system is the Pomodoro technique. It's so simple, it's almost silly, but it works. You set a timer for 25 minutes and you just work. No distractions. When the timer goes off, you take a 5-minute break. That's it. This rhythm of intense focus, followed by a short rest, is the key to staying sharp and avoiding that awful burnout feeling. So let's imagine your first active study session. You're not just going to sit down and study for an hour. No way. You're going to set a 25-minute Pomodoro timer. In that first block, you use the SQ3R method to read a section of your textbook, taking Cornell notes as you go. Ding! Timer goes off. You take a 5-minute break, stretch, get some water. Then you start a new Pomodoro, and this one is all about retrieval practice with your flashcards. See? Every single minute has a purpose. Look, these aren't just a random collection of study hacks. Think of this as a toolkit. You now have a whole set of powerful, science-backed tools. You can mix and match them to build a learning system that works for you, for your brain, and for whatever you're trying to learn. It's about shifting from just hoping you'll remember things to having a real, deliberate process that works. I'm going to leave you with one final thought from Mortimer Adler, who said, "The person who says he knows what he thinks but cannot express it usually does not know what he thinks." Wow, that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? True knowledge isn't about what you can read, it's about what you can retrieve and explain. So my question to you is, what are you going to go out and truly understand today?